All right, guys, our Sunday chat today is going to be with Adam Fitzsimmons, Captain Adam Fitzsimmons. He's somebody who has always kind of reached out to me and been somebody who has, provided insights, recommendations, and generally just been very open to meaningful and thoughtful discussion, which is something that I really, really value, something that, I don't necessarily get engaged with all the time. And he's a reader, he's a thinker, and he's recently gone back and finished his master's degree. He's a soldier, a combat veteran, a loving father, and really just an overall hardworking person in our community, and somebody who I think you're going to get a lot of value out of hearing his insights and his journey, and, just somebody who I thought would be, kind of an interesting switch up to Kristen last week. So we dive into some interesting things, and I hope you guys like it.
Yeah, we need people.
Yeah, must be giving big.
Get the neck tat waivers.
Big, neck tat waivers and big changes on the SOPs for everything. All right, guys, we are live with Adam Fitzsimmons. Adam is going to come in. We're going to talk a little bit about his career in the military and everything like that, and kind of some fitness stuff, and just kind of how he uses that to support himself and his family, and now a big part of friendship. And so kind of start to dive down that path. So Adam, why don't you take a second, introduce yourself a little bit, and tell us kind of about what your rank is in the military.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, first, I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
Big podcast guy, so just jumped at the chance to actually get on a podcast. That's a 45-minute commute one way.
Nice.
So I just crushed podcasts and audiobooks on my way to work every day.
Yeah, I kind of missed that about being in DC. It's like you get stuck in traffic. It's like, cool, I just get an extra couple chapters.
Exactly,
in the book,
exactly. That's the way you have to look at it. But yeah, so I've been in the military for going on 13 years now.
Nice.
I was enlisted for about 4 years at the beginning, and then got my commission through Ohio State Army ROTC.
Nice.
So that was, that was a pretty good experience. It's always difficult going from that enlisted side of the house onto the ROTC area.
So let's dive into that, because I'm sure that a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah.
And so one of the, we have a lot of people, Columbus is not like a hotbed for military or anything like that.
Right.
So maybe just tell a little bit about what is enlisted.
Sure.
And then we'll talk about a little bit about ROTC, and then we'll talk about what is officer.
Right.
So talk just about that. I think people just don't have a huge concept for that.
Yeah. So you have two main pay grades, right? So you have enlisted and non-commissioned officers, and then you have officers.
Yep.
It's really just what role you're fulfilling within the military.
Yeah, it's like a different path. It's like a different job.
I try to, when I explain it to people, I try to say it would be similar to a doctor and a nursing relationship in the sense
like blue collar, white collar kind of.
Yeah, so the nurses are actually doing all the work, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, someone's accountable for it.
For sure, absolutely.
But and it doesn't mean the nurses don't know as much as the doctors. Mm-hmm. It's just a different role, right?
Yeah, a 20-year nurse is going to be better than a 1-year doctor, right?
And that's kind of how I try to explain it to people. So when you hear enlisted, you think of going off to basic training. You have a lot of Hollywood movies that have encapsulated that basic training experience very well.
Yep.
And so that's typically the enlisted route, right? And so you are, you're just a grunt. You're just a foot soldier.
Yep.
You got no rank.
Yep.
People are just telling you what to do all the time instead of you telling others.
In the infantry.
In the infantry.
Yeah.
And then on the officer side of the house is kind of that. You try to hone your leadership style, hone your understand what needs to happen, know your job, know 2 and 3 levels up, know the big picture.
Yep.
And so I think that's probably something that the majority of the civilian population probably has a hard time with understanding. Just kind of that, everybody understands like a general, right?
Yeah.
But a general in the military is like a CEO.
I don't think people have a grasp of a concept of like if you meet a general, like that is a big deal.
Right.
Like, there's not that many generals.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely something that when I went in, I had no concept of rank structure at all whatsoever. Right. So I actually really struggled like in basic training, like learning the rank structure. Sure. And you're like walking around, like you walk by an officer and you see the rank, and you're like, I didn't salute him because I had no idea. Like, I had no concept.
You didn't know any better.
So coming from Columbus, it's like not a lot of bases around. And then you get the exact opposite. You get the kids who grew up in the military and they know everything before they come in.
Right.
So tell me a little bit. So you 4 years enlisted. I assume you're an NCO then.
So I was not. So my path was.
I was gonna say 4 years is like right on that limit.
Yeah.
Right? You're just eligible. To be a sergeant.
and I had done some moving around. So I enlisted in the reserves at first, and then actually switched to the National Guard for some school benefits. So I had like the 100% tuition assistance.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was just a better fit at the time.
Yeah.
I knew that I was gonna commission soon, and I wanted a unit to go to, and so that's what they provide. The Guard provides that hey, when you commission as an officer, you'll be put in this unit, and you'll be in charge of this platoon.
Yeah, I did not care for the reserves.
I
did not do well there.
Yeah.
I would have preferred Guard. Guard seems to be a little bit more. They take care of you as a person. The reserves is sort of just like you're just this little fish.
And that's what it is, exactly.
Yeah.
And because the reserves, kind of their parent units are still active duty, so it's kind of like, hey, if we need you, we'll call you.
Yep.
And you're not going to get any money for any type of training.
Yep.
Like, that's just my experience. I know it's probably different. I know like some special operations dudes and like PSYOPs and civil affairs that went reserves, and they have all kinds of money, but they're under SOCOM and they're in a little bit of that different realm.
Yeah.
But so commission 2010, and there's all kinds of stuff that I had to do with ROTC, just going back to the ROTC situation. So, it was difficult for me because I was coming out of like a basic training, being like a PFC, completing all that stuff, and then going into that ROTC world was just, we try to believe that we hold officer candidates to a standard, at least in ROTC, but for me it was maybe the discipline wasn't there.
Yeah. They're still college kids at the end of the day.
They're still college kids at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's so. How was that? How old were you when you went into ROTC?
So I was a little older.
Maturity, that's a huge piece of that,
Yeah, and especially when you hit that. There's a huge difference between 17 and 22.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I was a little older. I mean, I enlisted when I was 21, and I didn't hit ROTC until I was 22, 23.
Yeah.
I played, so out of high school, graduated from Catholic Central, went to Ohio Northern, played a couple of years for Ohio Northern University football.
Nice.
And then I ended up just transferring to Ohio State, and that's what kind of put me a little bit older.
Yeah.
And even I noticed my age in basic training.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like, listen, bros.
Yeah.
Like, grow up, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole world out there, and like, if you continue to act like you're doing, and it was hard on people.
Yeah.
Coming from all kinds of different backgrounds.
Yeah, that's I think one of the biggest things that the military gave me was the in Dublin, Worthington, Central Ohio, really in any of the suburbs for the most part, you're not exposed to a lot of different demographics. Like you might be exposed to your demographic, but you're not exposed to a lot of different demographics. It's not like we have a lot of like intermixing between you go to Marysville, you get the same kind of kids, right? You go to Worthington, you get the same kind of kids. You go to Reynoldsburg, same kind of kids. And so I think that transition for me was the first time that like culturally I ever really saw a lot of like socioeconomic differences. People in gangs, people from rural Texas that went to high school with 13 kids, to Manhattanites, crazy differences. And so like for me, I really embraced that. Like I thought that was like something that was like, this is a really good test for me to see if I can lead, communicate, get along with, and kind of change a little bit of, how accepting I am or how I look at different things. So I think that's one of the cool parts about the military, but just like you said, it's like not all 18, 19-year-olds handle that the same. Some of them bring like either a sense of entitlement or a chip on their shoulder or whatever it might be. And so that's the thing. I think sometimes it's like, especially in the infantry, it's like, man, you get a whole different type of people from A to B, but I think, or A to Z, I should say, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's cool that you kind of, were able to experience that and then take that to your ROTC unit, because I'm sure that was a huge benefit to those kids, when you came in and you had some of that experience. So what did you graduate in, and then what was your transition into being an officer?
So graduated in August of 2010 with a degree in communication analysis. And then I reported to Fort Benning, Georgia early the next year, so January of 2011.
Fort Benning, everybody's favorite.
So Fort Benning, Georgia for the Infantry Basic Officer Leader course. And I would say that course itself was probably one of the most difficult courses I've ever completed.
Yeah.
And I don't think it wasn't like that across the board. There was just some dynamics within our platoon and our platoon leadership that just made it. If you've ever seen the mini-series.
The scarves, right? It's the scarves that get you guys. I remember the first time I saw that walking around, I'm like, man, who the hell are these people walking around with huge scarves in their boots?
That's actually,
do you guys still wear
that's
that?
OCS.
Is it? Okay,
all right. OCS is Officer Candidate School.
Okay,
so.
yeah.
But, so reported there, and if you've ever seen Band of Brothers, we had our own Captain Sobel, who really just enjoyed.
Talk about just great acting by David Schwimmer. I mean, he kills that role. It's so
He does. And it's interesting to hear the commentary from the individuals that were there. They've had all kind of interviews and stuff after the series came out, but they talk about how David Schwimmer just knocked it out of the park.
Oh, yeah. You gotta love it when somebody comes in and plays the idiot to perfection. It's so good. And it's such a misunderstood part. We have a lot of kids who have come through, ROTC kids, people who tell me I am aspiring to be an officer.
Yeah.
And that's going to change my tone 180 degrees, from how I'm going to talk to you as a client.
Absolutely.
If you're coming in to do that and that's your stated goal, I'm not going to talk to you like I would talk to a 45-year-old Dublin mom who's looking to lose some weight. Your goals are going to be significantly more serious.
Yeah.
And I'm going to express the seriousness of what your stated goal is to you consistently.
Absolutely.
Because, I understand that a bad officer gets people killed.
Absolutely.
And it's one of those things where I think sometimes people don't necessarily see that. I tell people all the time. I actually told Coach Liz, because we were talking about training military people. We were talking about, what your role as a coach is. And we've had all different kinds of coaches. But I'm the only one with a military background that's ever been there. And so everybody kind of runs to me with that. I tell them at the very least, you need to, watch Band of Brothers, read a couple books, be aware of some general things. And I think Band of Brothers does do a good job of just understanding both the camaraderie of the enlisted soldiers,
right,
but the relationship between a platoon leader, right, and a platoon sergeant, and understanding that these young kids who are saying, they're going to be a platoon leader. If it's a Marine or an infantry, that is one of the most daunting tasks for a young person.
Absolutely.
In no other place in the world, are you going to be a 22-year-old or a 24-year-old, and it's hey, here's 40 kids,
right,
and here's 35 kids and 5 grown-ass men.
Exactly.
Go lead them,
right?
And so it's a cool thing, but it's definitely. I'm sure it made you grow up really fast, even if you weren't already experienced, but. So you kind of graduate through, and then where was your first unit, and what were your first soldiers like, and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I graduated at Fort Benning on June 1st, and I mobilized for Afghanistan on 2 August.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so short stint.
So, and that entire time I was at Fort Benning, yes, it was very difficult, but I had Afghanistan over my head.
Yeah.
So I knew... don't fuck around right now.
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
You need to understand what's going on right now.
Yep.
And so I made sure I conveyed that to my platoon cadre, and they understood kind of the severity and the seriousness of my mindset going into it.
Yeah.
So when mobbed out of Camp Shelby, Mississippi. I was assigned a platoon leader for Delta Company, 1st 148 Infantry.
Nice.
And we hit boots on ground in Herat Province, Afghanistan in late October of 2011.
Nice.
So kind of our train up, it was a significant, 3-month train up in the heat in Camp Shelby. Just a lot like a lot of lessons learned there and understanding what was going on. And so Herat province is on the west side of Afghanistan. So it's about 40 kilometers away from Iran, the Iranian border.
Yeah.
Right on Highway 1 there, just south. Was a little camp called Camp Stone. That's where we were co-located with. We had ANA, or Afghan National Army, outside of our perimeter. So we were in one of those camps that you have like Americans in the middle, then ANA on the outside, and then we had a couple different Special Operations Task Force guys that would, you would only see them at night when they would like take off in their Chinooks and their Blackhawks, and then they'd roll back in like 04.
Yeah.
They'd wake you up. I would say the funniest thing about being woke up where we were is the call to prayer. Like every day. I mean, that was like a constant, 5 times a day. Yeah. Because the ANA was still, I mean, they would
still
wear it out. We would get nicknames for the different people that would sing on the speaker.
Yeah.
Some of them better than others, obviously.
Is it live when they do that?
Yeah, just right up to a microphone and sing it out. So, yeah, I remember taking a video and I showed it to some friends when I got home, and they were just so freaked out that they're like, "You had to listen to that every single day." I was like, "Not only every single day, 5 times."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This isn't like Revelry.
It's
twice that.
Right. Yeah. So it was good. I enjoy. I look back. Afghanistan for me was just a life-changing event. Not because I was shot up. Not because I lost a guy. It was just, that environment of, I'd go on 3-day patrols and, it's through the mountains up north. And like you said, man, I was the guy. Yeah. And I just had to make it happen. Yeah. And it was, when you're put in that type of scenario, it just changes you. Yeah. And understanding like, hey, there would be times, I'm not getting all dark and stuff, but there'd be times where I was just like, listen, like, if I was the enemy, this is what I would do. Yeah. And I don't understand why they're not doing it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And, like, there's a couple routes, like, that, I'm talking 1,200-foot drop-offs on cliffs through the mountains, and we're in an up-armored vehicle that if we get hit with a side-mounted IED and get pushed over, we're still alive for, like, probably 4 or 5 seconds as we're just falling. Yeah. And just so those thoughts and just understanding that and just understanding
having that awareness, heightened awareness all the time.
Exactly. You're just,
Well, and how does that affect your capability then to, I think this is one of the things that I see why, officers become, extremely successful when they come back into a corporate job or different jobs on that capacity is decisions. And I think one of the things that people do a poor job of or struggle with from the civilian life is the capability to make a rational, logical, quick decision. Yeah. And have full confidence that, like, look, we don't know. It might be right, it might be wrong. We're not positive yet. But given the information that I have, this is the best decision, and then making that quickly, and then doing that at a capacity and at an importance level that you're not going to get back here in Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. And then doing that every day for like a year. How long were you guys mobilized for?
So we got home. So we got boots on ground in October, and we got home September. So mid-September of 2012. So it was a long haul, long deployment with the MOB. But it's funny that you say that, because that's the biggest thing they harp on you when they try to stress you out during training. Is a decision is better than no decision.
For sure.
So fucking do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny now. I tell my soldiers this all the time, and the people I work with. It's just like, make an informed decision with the amount of intelligence or the amount of knowledge that you have right now, the data that you have right now. Just make a decision. Because if you don't make, bad news doesn't get better with time. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, we're not going to learn anything more. Sitting here and looking at all the angles is not like, it's like, I tell people all the time, it's like, when we used to like use a pool table as an analogy. It's like, dude, you can sit there and stare at it. You can put your cue on like the kid on the corner.
Right.
You can try to just hit the damn shot. Like you either have that capacity or you don't. Like sitting there and lining everything up and trying to think about it a million times, not making it's not making the decision any better. It's not making the shot any better. And so been about 6 years from now. And so you were second lieutenant when you got deployed.
Correct.
And now captain.
Now captain, company commander.
So that's 01 to 02 to 03.
Yeah,
right?
so just to give some perspective, so you need about 36 to 48 months time and grade to pick up your first lieutenant, so to get promoted from second lieutenant to first lieutenant. And then you need another 48 to go from first lieutenant to captain.
Yep. And
so I'll be sitting here for another 2 years until I can be promoted to major.
Yep.
So came back, did the normal employment thing, didn't have many troubles, getting back into the swing of things. I had some soldiers that had a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's any time you go from an environment where you don't have to worry about anything except being shot in the face.
Yep.
But, didn't have to worry about chow, gas, groceries.
Relationships.
Exactly. Yep. Relationships. Your time was dictated to you.
Yep.
This is what you're doing now.
Yep.
You didn't have a lot of freedom to be a jackass.
Yep.
Right? So, and then all of a sudden, you get the keys to the kingdom when you come home.
Yeah, total
You
freedom.
get all the booze you want.
Well,
you get all the money.
They stockpile money. Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So here you are in downtown Cleveland at a casino,
Yep.
just blowing through thousands of dollars because you don't have the self-discipline to.
Yep.
And so and that's
Cadillacs.
as old as time.
Yeah, for sure.
Buying Cadillacs at 29%.
That's exactly right. I had to go to a Cadillac dealer and just look at the guy and go, come on. What are you doing here? Right. This guy's got no credit. He's probably sitting at a credit rating like 150 if it even goes that low. Right. It's just like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
So, you're gonna have to go ahead and fix that contract. But that's the stuff that I think that people don't see. People hear all the time struggling to come back into things. What's the buzzword that people use all the time? Not reintegration, but something along those lines, right? I think everybody struggles with it in a different capacity. It might be, it might be idle hands, it might be financial, it might be relationship wise, it might be, whatever. But I think that's the big thing is it's just like you said, it's from a structure, like a high structure to a no structure.
Right.
And so when you come back, I think that's the good part sometimes about the Guard. A little bit is a lot of times you actually you can come back and you go to guard training, so you still have that military end, but you also do get a break sometimes from the people, and then you can go and do a day job.
Absolutely.
So what is like your civilian job?
Yeah, so I work at the Department of Homeland Security through a National Guard task force, and I just do some intelligence analysis.
Yeah, and so you're like, so it's through the National Guard, but it's not necessarily like with your soldiers that would be.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So I work downtown Columbus every day. Yeah. I live in Marysville. Like I said, I work in a federal building through a National Guard task force. So I'm on active duty. I get paid active duty and everything's good. I get retirement points and everything.
Nice.
But it's almost like I explain to people like we're like contractors, right? Yeah. So we're the agencies that we're staffed at don't have to pay for us. Yeah. But we offer unique skills to that agency that perhaps they can't self-source.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's really kind of the why the program has been so successful. Yeah. To this point. So.
That's cool. And do you work with a lot of other? Is it most of the military guys that you work with?
No, so I work with all special agents.
Okay, cool.
Special agents and intelligence research specialists. Nice. Through the Department of Homeland Security, and then we have people at different agencies, DEA, ATF, FBI, things like that.
Nice. And so you recently, congratulations, just finished your master's degree.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about that. Like, were you using GI Bill? Do you still get money from the Guard for tuition assistance? How did that all work? And then tell me a little bit about your master's degree.
Yeah. So in August of 2016, I've been wanting to go back to school for a while. Yeah. it's also one of those things as a military officer, you know, a professional soldier.
Yeah.
That it just looks really good.
Yeah.
You know, and
I think it's good. You know, it's you're a good example for, I think, some of your soldiers too. It's like one of those things. It's like, I mean, always educating yourself. So.
Right. So Tiffin University had a master's program, so a master's of criminal justice and crime analysis,
Nice.
and it's really a holistic approach within the criminal justice side of the house. There's a couple legal classes that were very interesting that I would not have thought were going to be a part of the curriculum.
Yeah.
But they were outstanding because it just gives you a better understanding of the system.
Yeah, for sure.
And perhaps some flaws of the system.
Yeah.
So it was a 2-year program. I am just super stoked that I'm done with it.
Yeah, for sure.
It got to the point there at the end where, you know, it was rough,
Yeah.
you know, but, you know, if it was easy. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I was going to say, I don't know anybody who's ever finished a degree and like, oh man, like I really wish it was another year on that program. I was so ready to do more.
Yeah, so the assignments, it's an online program, all the assignments would be due, you know, Sunday evening, right?
Yeah.
And I'm laying in bed this morning, my wife comes in, she's, you know, they're getting ready to go to church, and she's like, so what time did the Bengals play? And I'm like, 1 p.m. And guess what? I don't have any assignments.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I was just super.
Yeah.
It's just that little pick me up
Yeah,
that
for
I'm
sure.
still experiencing.
Yeah, that
So,
little freedom. Yeah, that was So when I went back to school to Ohio State, we had, you know, at first I was taking just tons of hours, right? I wasn't working really. I had like some part-time jobs at like Rogue and a couple other different places. Nothing that really stuck. And then we opened the gym, and then like my school time went from 26 hours a quarter semester, then down to 12, then down to 3, and then it's just this thing lingering over you, and I'm just dragged and dragged and dragged, and same thing, man. When you get done with that, it's this freedom feeling that's so fantastic, and then it's you still have those nightmares where I didn't finish my homework on time, still there, I gotta get up and do it. It's just school's such a weird
It's even, you know, I even equate it to a hard workout, you know, like running a marathon, right?
Yeah.
So I've run a couple marathons, and I even sometimes I look back and I'm just I can't even believe I did that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm training for a 50 miler go ruck event in 2 weekends from now, and I went out for a 20-mile ruck yesterday, and I did 21 miles, and I did 21 miles in 5 hours, and I ran a marathon faster than that, and I was just I can't believe I even did that.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, man, that's crazy. But
Yeah.
even looking back now, I can totally get how people you know, maybe in 6 months I'm gonna look back at the master and be like, I don't even know how I spent all that time doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
And even when you're in it too, you're like, what am I gonna do with all my free time when I'm done? It's amazing how when you really step back and you look at the time available to do things and make priorities and cut out some things.
That's incredible.
It's amazing how much real time people have.
Yeah,
people
for sure.
are I don't have time to do it. It's well, you just have to prioritize.
Yeah.
And
It's crazy. If you do the subtraction, you know, it's whatever, 162 hours in a week or whatever it is. And when you start doing the subtraction, it's you start looking at it, and I remember doing this exercise, and I was starting to look at as a business owner, where do I allocate different time to different tasks, right? And and I started looking at it, and you're like, man, there's 17 hours that I can't account for. That's a lot of time, man. What am I doing?
It's the Hard Knocks episode where Carl Nassib.
Yeah.
You spend 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
Spend 2 hours a day on your Instagram, man. That's a year.
Yeah, it's a month at the end of the year, which is crazy. That was you start thinking about it, that's actually true. It's it is actually pretty crazy. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that I think school is. It's funny how people ebb and flow and trend. Because I feel I catch you right now, you just got done, you're oh, I'm so glad you're done. And then 2 years from now, you're going to you take that freedom of time, and you're just you know, if you're feeling it well, you're reading, you're educating yourself, you're doing things, you're going to feel fine. Then 2 years from that, you're going to be you know what, I think I can go back and get another master's degree, or I can go back and get a PhD or do something.
It's terrible because it's already happened.
Yeah.
So, 2 weeks after I finished, I contacted Capital for law school.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't, you know, my brother's a lawyer down in Cincinnati. I don't know, man, but it's just you always want to fortify your position.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
you're always trying to do something else.
Yep.
Now that's quite a an event to take on. But
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, it's on the radar.
Yeah, it's interesting. The first year, which is what everyone always kind of talks about. It's like the first year is always the hard year and all that stuff. But the evening adult program, it's I think it's just like anything. If you have your priorities in line, it's not time that you can't spare.
Right.
It's like it's there. You can do it.
Yeah.
It's just consistently something that consumes a majority of your free time, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to, an online master's degree might consume, 60% of your free time.
Right.
This is going to consume 85 or 90% of your free time.
Yeah.
So instead of Sunday, like missing a game, now you're missing all games. It's like you're going to miss 9 hours of games, not just the 3 hours of games.
Exactly.
And so, So it was interesting. I'm super glad I went because I had that same kind of thought, that feeling that fortify your position. I think is a great way to put that. Is how am I improving now, and how will that benefit me, my family, and everything later in life.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the vein that I went with. It was also just a goal, and I'm not a person who I don't like to just walk away from a goal. Like I like to take my absolute best shot. And then either realize that was a goal. Like for me, law school, I realized after the first year was just like, that was a goal that I had set. That wasn't at the time, it might have been a goal, 5 years ago when I got out of the Army.
Right.
That was a goal. And I left it there and I had it sitting, and I've got like a goal board, and it just sits there and stares you in the face every day. And then like you start getting to the point where like, I think I could probably do that now.
Yeah.
And then you get there and it's like at, 32, now with like a family and a thriving business, that's no longer the same goal it was when I was 26. And I didn't have I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have a job or a business. Right? It's like it's a lot easier to make different goals as that stuff happens. So it's cool. I mean, I think the Capital has a great program. It's really cool. So I mean, I think it's one of those things. If you go into it, with the right alignment of life, and the right alignment of support, it can be so beneficial. So that's cool that that's kind of on your radar.
Yeah, and that's, and I think too, getting to the leadership portion of this, just understanding that, setting goals. A goal without a plan is a wish, right?
Yeah.
So something that I've really implemented with my soldiers and my subordinates at work is, all the counseling that we do, every quarter, right? So you sit down, and people think innately that the word counseling means like a negative something or other, there's a negative connotation. That's not the case. Anytime someone's working for you or you're working for somebody, to establish those lines of communication, understand exactly what the expectations are of you. Understand what their expectations are of you as a leader. Right. And so I've implemented what's called like a goal resume. And I look at it, maybe every 6 months, and there's things, and it's written like I've already accomplished these things. But when you look at it, you're like, oh man, I had my master's complete in 2018, when I created it in 2016, and now you look at it and you're like, hell check that one off the block. Now what's next, right? And so you basically understanding what you want your resume or you want your life to look like in 2020.
For sure.
And you can take it any place. You can take it on fitness. You can take it on financial planning. You can take it everywhere. So
that's cool. That's cool that you guys do that. We kind of implemented a similar thing as a business this year. And it's already had such a positive impact just on, this is where we as a business want to go 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. This is what we need to do as a team individually for the next 90 days.
Right.
If you guys accomplish, it's like Andy has one task, right? It's to improve the nutrition program. And it's like, what do we need to do to make that happen? Well, we need to bring somebody else on to help him. We need to do this and that. And so he is solely focused. That's his primary role, is that one task. And we know if over the next 90 days you accomplish that task and everybody accomplishes their one line item task, we will be closer to that 3 or 5 year goal and all that stuff. So that's cool that you guys do that. And so tell me a little bit about leadership development, because I know this is something that you put a lot of time and you have passion for, which is cool, because I think there's not a lot of leaders, this is going to sound weird, but there's not a lot of leaders, especially in the military, who have a passion for leadership. Yeah. Right? It's like why'd you become an officer? Well, it pays better, and when I retire, I want to make more money, and I do X, Y, and Z, but like I actually, I love when I meet somebody who's in a role that they can influence and help soldiers and people. Yeah. And they actually have a passion for influencing and helping people. And so I think it's cool that you can kind of put those two together. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about like what you do, like, because I know you read a lot, like you said, you listen to a lot of podcasts, you're big on self-education for that stuff, but where'd that passion really come from? And then how do you feel like you kind of go about setting out a plan to kind of nurture that?
Yeah. So, it's always kind of been there. I think really the catalyst and the nexus of it is to be quite honest with you, it's seeing bad leaders. Yeah. And how frustrating that can be. Sometimes
it's best to know what you don't want to be.
Oh, it's funny. I heard a quote, when you listen to people, when you shut your mouth and listen to people, you know what they know and you know what you know. Yep. So it's just one of those, but seeing bad leaders was really just, it is so frustrating. And so I think that's really where the self-development came from, and that urge to want to get better. Yeah. So over probably the last 3 years, I'm a huge Jocko guy. Yep. I worship at the altar of Jocko. But it's funny because when you see people like that, and you read books over and over again, a lot of it's stuff you already know. Yep. It's just how to communicate and use that within your own life. Yep. So what Jocko says, we all pretty much know that if we're in a leadership position. We know that we need to get along with people. We know that we need to, prioritize and execute. We understand that. Yeah. But it's how you can, it's how you can communicate it with the team. Yeah. Right. And I would say that's probably the biggest thing for me. So, I'm an innately emotional dude, right? Yeah. So I blame it on my Irish Catholic heritage, right? So. Yeah. Springfield, Ohio, Irish Catholic. Yeah. So innately emotional, and I think that's been one of the biggest leadership, maybe not obstacles, but areas of improvement that I've had within my career. I can see myself as a young officer, and you're getting you get too amped about the little things that don't matter.
Yeah, it can be emotional positive or emotional negative. Exactly. There's both ends of it.
Right. Yep. And so that's something that I and I'm also very judgy in the sense too. So if I see somebody flying off the handle, if I'm in their sphere of influence, I will certainly pull them aside and be like, "Listen, bro, calm down. Yeah, because this is what you look like, and here's the perception. It's not good. Yeah. So, but that's something that I work on quite a bit. And it's funny, even my wife and some of my coworkers tell me this. They're like, "You don't look like you're emotional at all." And I'm like, "Well, inside, I'm just." Very, very emotional inside, but you have to keep it under wraps. For sure. You have to just take a breath and calm down. Yeah. And that's probably some of the one thing that I learned the most in Afghanistan was I self-talk. Yeah. So it can be during a workout. Yep. It can be during a marathon. It can be during a stressful situation in Afghanistan. I self-talk. I'm like, okay, what's the next thing that needs to happen? Yep. What's this that needs to happen?
And that's that emotional maturity. That's something that you probably didn't have when you were 20, 21. Yeah. And that you've developed now to help, keep you a little more even keel, more consistent. Yeah. So, that's cool. I love, the Jocko stuff, it has been so interesting. Just like you said, I think it's, the thing that I love about him is it's stuff it's simple, it's not easy, right? Yeah. And then the big thing for you is it's applicable differently all the time because your team's always changing. Your situation's always changing. And so, you might be, a great leader right now with your current platoon, but I don't know if people know, it's like platoons change all the damn time. I mean, like week to week, month to month. And so, you might come and we sit down, we talk a year, end up talking a year from now, and your platoon's going to be like, totally different, right? And so then that changes your capacity, and it's it's the same as your family. It's like your daughter's you're gonna teach your daughter one way now, and then when she's 14, you're gonna teach her a totally different way. It's gonna be like, hey, you have to evolve. Yeah. And as situations become easier or more difficult, you need to be more prepared for those situations.
Absolutely.
So I think that kind of constant pursuit of, leadership development is really cool. And just like you said, reading and rereading leadership material that is impactful to you. I always like to tell people, it's like, I try to read above the line like once a year.
Yeah. Because
when I first read it, I think it was maybe 2016, it was right when we were amping up for the games. And so the team, as I saw it in 2015, 2016, was, Chris and John and Ryan and Jenny and Kristen and Maria. And it was my competitive team that I was leading. That was my focus. Yeah. 2018, my team is my coaching staff, right? Mm-hmm. And it's my goal to help grow them and develop them. So totally different ends, right? And totally different people. And so now when I read that book, my mind goes to a 180 degree, like totally different place. Like I'm 100% opposite. So I think it's cool that you do that, and I think it's gonna it benefits you as a civilian employee or a contractor, a leader in the military and a father and all that stuff. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's something that we try to implement. I always say the standard doesn't change, the way we get to the standard does.
Yeah.
Right, and so whether that is and I would say this too. There is a perception out there with the military and how the military is led.
Yeah.
And how people outside of the military maybe thinks it's just a yelling and screaming and you'll do this because I said so. And I know that if people have listened to Jocko, he makes it very clear that that's not the case.
Yeah.
But because you're ultimately going to get a better product if you are tactful and the employee knows that you care about them. And
it's still people at the end.
Exactly, right? And so, this notion of, well, if you're an officer in the Army and you just say, do this because I said so, that is not what actually happens, right?
Well, it might happen. It's just that person's not going to have the same buy-in from their soldiers as the person who comes to Christian.
And you're never going to reach any type of the level of the potential that you could in that type of. So kind of my philosophy right now, the soldiers that I'm so grateful to be in command of, I want to make sure that they know that I care about them and I have their interests in mind.
Yeah.
You're familiar with an Article 15. So an Article 15 is a non-judicial punishment that the military has. And basically, if you screw up, you can punish a soldier by like taking his pay, taking his rank, doing extra duty, things like that. So I unfortunately had an Article 15 situation this past summer, where E4 drew down on a E6, and that happens because that's what we try to do. We try to stress people out in that type of situation because combat isn't like happy-go-lucky, right? It's stressful. Well, this particular day, it's hot. E4 basically takes his ruck off, throws his saw down, and just says, "I'm going to beat your ass" to this NCO, right? Yeah. Well, that's clearly unacceptable. Yeah. That's not, But the punishment that I gave him was to read above the line and write a 1,200-word essay on what he believes above the line means. Yeah. And so, things like that, I could have hammered this dude, right? I could have made a field grade Article 15, took his rank, kicked him out. Yep. But it's not about that. No. Military punishment and military discipline is about caring for people, caring for their livelihood and who they are, right? And so that's really kind of what my philosophy is. It's like, even though this might be uncomfortable for you or it feels bad or you're getting a negative counseling or whatever, but here's the end point. And this is the oldest time, the whole this hurts me more than it hurts you type of scenario. But that's kind of my philosophy, and like understanding where we might be falling short and understanding the way to get there.
Well, and utilizing this short-term failure, which a week from now, this isn't going to matter at all.
Sure.
and utilizing it as, how do we grow and develop, right? How do we move on beyond this in some capacity? And so that's where I think it's it's super mature. And now I look back, it's always one of those things like I was a good soldier, I was not a good leader, right? And when I got out, I was in a leadership role.
Yeah.
And we didn't have officers in our unit, which is like bizarre, right? We were one of the very few enlisted run platoons, and there's never any officers involved, and so it's a unique a position for NCOs to really have a much larger role in their soldiers' lives, and we were extremely intimate, and it's like my basically, I guess you'd call it a fire team, right? But my relief, it was 4 people. I had 3 soldiers, and it's just like, and so I mean, if you want to talk about involved, you're very involved in every aspect of their life, and you're spending hundreds of hours together every week. And now I look back, and it's just like I did some good things as a leader, but now it's always like one of those things where I look back and you're just like, man, I wish I would have been. I wish I could be there now with the current mindset and ability that I have as a leader, the emotional awareness that I have for people and all those kinds of things, just like you were talking about, to be able to give that to them, because it's not like I failed them, but there were definitely soldiers I think who slipped through the cracks. Yeah, exactly, where I think I could have had a much more meaningful change or impact in their lives in a positive way. And so I think it's awesome that you're able to still do that and stay in that role and all that stuff. So it's really cool. So you had said earlier self-talk during workout stuff, and I know you have really implemented some of the CrossFit stuff and some of that into your platoon training.
I have.
So tell me a little bit about the Fitzsimmons home garage gym, right? And what goes on there, the compounds, right? And,
the compounds.
Yeah, and so tell me a little bit about the growth and development of that, because I mean, you probably have, I would say, what I know of people in the gym, you probably have the sickest garage gym. So tell everybody about it a little bit.
Well, so, it all started from a point in my life where, I had just had shoulder surgery. I tore my labrum in 2015. 2014. So, tore my labrum real bad. I was at a baseball fantasy camp. I was taking batting practice from Chris Sabo.
Oh, wow, really?
And I was just taking it.
That was a huge a huge Chris Sabo.
So, Chris Sabo's throwing me a little BP. And like the meathead I am, I just kept swinging hard for the fences and ended up tearing it pretty good. What
an image that is. Think about what Chris Sabo's thinking. Look at this fucking idiot. What's he doing?
Just one of those things. So went to the doctor. It's all torn up, man. Well, because of the military process of getting medical, whatever, I had to wait another 8 months to get surgery.
Oh, wow.
Finally got surgery, and they had initially thought it was going to be a 2 or 3 anchor thing.
Yeah.
And when they got in there, they were like, you need 5 anchors. So I have 5 anchors in my shoulder. So anyway, I hadn't been working out, and then I saw a really good deal in a buy-sell trade, and I wasn't at the gym at this point. Jackie had been in and out a little bit, but buy-sell trade, some family in Dublin had all this stuff, and they're like, it's free, come get it.
Oh, wow.
And so, it was a bar and maybe 300 pounds of plates.
Yeah.
And I remember getting to their house. I'm like, are you sure you don't want me to pay you for any of it? This is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they're just like, nope, it's gone. And I was like, hey, roger that.
Yeah.
So took it home, really enjoyed having that immediate, just getting back in the groove type thing. And this would be fall of 2015. And then just started adding. Started adding more and more. Got an Aerodyne, got a GHD. I got a treadmill in there to run. And then, just it kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah. And then when did you guys move into the house?
So September of last year, we actually moved. We were at an old farmhouse that had a garage, an attached garage, and then moved back into a little suburb for Evelyn, because being out in the country, she didn't have anybody to play with.
Yeah, for sure.
And then now, there's just random packs of kids running
everywhere.
through
Yeah.
different yards. But yeah, so moved in there, and then just started added a bunch of pull-up bars and kettlebells.
Dumbbells is a big one.
Dumbbells, just
Yeah.
got the dumbbells. So that's
Yep.
the latest.
Yeah,
So I got 2385s.
Yeah, and it's so like sexy. You have like but I always get stressed at the gym because it's like we make it sexy,
Yeah.
and then it's just like you're like we got that kettlebell rack same thing. Everything's perfectly aligned, and I like looked at Indy and I go, well, enjoy this because this is as good as it's ever gonna look. Like it's just gonna get shittier from here, and it's like you give anybody the community an inch, and there's just like chaos.
Yeah, right.
But with you, it's like
Yeah.
it's you're the one who
Control
both
your
respects
own.
the equipment
Right.
and the way it
Yeah.
looks, and so it's always gonna kind of look like that. So I
Yeah.
always love going to like a nice garage and like that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that looks so nice. It's
Yeah.
so like organized. It's
Yeah.
just like
So it's been nice, with being in school, being in command, which is like another part-time job.
Yep.
With my guard unit, and then having the 45 to an hour drive one way every day. When I can't get into the gym, I'll be getting into the gym more often. And now that I'm done with school.
Yeah.
We just talked about prioritization.
Yeah.
So no excuses.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. But it was always nice just to be able to come home and knock out a wad,
Yep.
in the garage gym.
Well, and I think you really
Right
enjoy the
there.
aspect of you're a tinkerer. You like testing, trying different workouts, seeing how it affects you differently.
Yeah.
And then and one of my favorite things to do to you is to because you have, I don't know if you know, but you have a barbell bias in your programming.
Absolutely.
So-
I have a what I'm good at.
Yeah,
bias,
exactly.
right?
And so I love when you come in and like, you're like, oh yeah, the other day, like I nailed this. And I'm just like, okay, cool. Hey, all we're doing today, a couple 800 meters and some dumbbell front squats. Just like,
no
hey,
big deal.
It's not going to be anything.
You should
know?
definitely go out as hard as you can.
So you come back in and that first run's like 320, 322, and then it's just like, see you later.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I think, we enjoy kind of that. I enjoy, I just went through Instagram last night and Facebook, and I'm like purging. I have to purge because like there's just too many people on that I'm watching and I'm viewing that like, and that's the thing. It's like that's what sucks time is like I was following like 500 people yesterday, and now I'm down to like 100, and like my goal is to get to like 50.
Yeah, right.
But you're one of my favorite people to follow because like a lot of your posts, really most of your posts are going to be your workouts.
Yeah.
And I love seeing what you're doing, and it's
Yeah.
like it's kind of a weird thing because I really don't care what like Ben Bergeron posts or like what these other people post. It's like I would rather watch what you're going to post.
Yeah.
Because I think that was how I started really was like I was programming first for myself, and then I was programming eventually for Jay and Tom and Grant and Kristen, the people who joined me in the garage gym, and then that kind of grew to the first 20 or 30 members, and it's like then you're programming for the whole gym, and now you're programming for hundreds of people, and so it's it's been fun to see that transformation, and so it's kind of like I have that like nostalgia when I look back at like your things. Like, that's some shit I would have programmed. 50 thrusters at 135. Like just bury yourself today. Just like for time.
Yeah.
Just why? Because fuck me. That's
right.
why. It's
You gotta pick the rents.
Exactly. Man. Yeah. So that's it's fun to kind of watch you for it. So
and so that's really kind of that's transitioned into I always run the PT for my company. I know that we've talked about it, and I bounce some ideas off your head.
Yeah.
And I've even taken up some of the wall balls up there for him.
Yep.
It's one of those things where the PT at my company is purposely made to be super fucking hard.
Yeah.
And because I want these dudes to understand what it feels like to lose all the ATP in their muscles.
Yep,
right?
exactly.
It's like I think with the newer generation of soldiers that I'm getting, and we talked about this a little bit, but there is there's just a soldier that is coming into the military today that perhaps hasn't had a whole lot of physical hardship.
Just softer.
Maybe not like a physical hardship and like doesn't know how to work, but like just I remember that was fun for us when we were growing up. It was just see how fast we could run our 40 20 times.
Yeah, exactly.
See how fast we could run a mile.
Yeah.
And it was bragging rights and things like that.
Yeah.
Now it's just we're getting soldiers that might not.
Well, they're getting rid of two-a-days. I mean, they're football pro. It's like you think about what is the hardest thing.
Hands down.
Yeah.
All right, we had an event in August of 2012 in Afghanistan where I was all fully kitted up for like 18 hours.
Yeah.
All right, we had a real bad green on blue. We had to secure the scene.
Yeah.
We're getting all kinds of intelligence that we have all these like hostiles moving to our area. Okay, and I remember thinking to myself, it's August. What's going on back at home? All two-a-days are starting.
Yep.
I remember thinking to myself, would I rather be at two-a-days right now or be where I am right now?
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm good here.
Yeah.
Because that was like, growing up, two-a-days, high school football, those were like some of the hardest events that I've ever had in my life.
Yep. Yep.
But anyway, so the PT is purposely made to be difficult. I implemented a new PT standard for, the APFT obviously is a 2-mile run, push-ups and sit-ups, but in chosen company, you have to do 100 burpees for time under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And right into 2 touch and go 15-foot rope climbs.
Yes. Sure.
So we're sitting at about 50% pass rate at this point. A
Yeah.
lot of it is they don't know how to climb a rope, which
Yep.
that's fine. We'll work on it. The burpees, hey, it's one of those things. It's a gut check, man.
Yep.
And at the end of every single time, I love burpees. I love burpees, bear crawls. So
Yeah.
I'll do 20 burpees and then bear crawl like 100 yards.
Yep.
And it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because people hate it.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I love it. It's a mental strength.
Shoulders
thing,
and hips,
too,
yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah. But you can always kind of go. I always tell people, for the most part, it's like a soldier generally, not everybody, but a soldier should be able to. You can always do one more burpee. You can always go another couple steps on the bear crawl.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, and I think that's kind of where we're going to as a whole in the military. So I don't know if you're aware, but the Army has implemented a new ACFT, Army Combat
tested
Fitness
that
test.
back in
did you?
2008, 9, 10, in DC, when they first started having the concept of changing it.
Yeah.
We were some of the first soldiers that started to test that.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of how I started actually finding and getting involved with CrossFit in 2008. So yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff that I implement in the garage gym goes right to the company, test it out, tinker with it.
Yeah.
A lot of sandbag stuff, just whole body, hey, what are you gonna have to do on the battlefield, man?
Yeah.
We can have, we're not gonna have to snatch, we're
Yep.
not gonna have to do all that stuff, but what you are gonna have to do, you're gonna have to pick a buddy and run.
Yep.
And so that's and I would say that's I'm biased in my own wads towards that type of stuff.
Yeah, for
in
sure.
my garage gym. But it's funny you talk about Instagram and posts and everything, and it's amazing how many people will come up to me, especially my hometown friends.
Yeah.
They're just like, I just really enjoy you posting that because then I do those workouts.
Yeah.
And I never, because I don't post them for reasons of I want other people to do it.
Yeah.
I just, I don't, it's just one of those things.
It's almost like logging for you in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can look back
Yep.
and just
Yep.
what do I want to do today?
Yeah, exactly.
My brain doesn't work.
Yep.
What am I going to do?
Yep.
Oh, let's try this again.
And even if it's not doing it again, it stimulates some creativity.
Yeah.
It's okay, last time I did 100 back squats at body weight. Now I'm going to do 100 back squats at half body weight or twice body or whatever it might be. It's how do I want to take that? So I think that's super interesting. The is there bragging rights around the 100 burpees and 2 rope climbs? Have they adopted that mentality? The soldiers who are kind of high performers.
I think they're still I still think they're kind of in shock right now. So the best time that we had was a 5:12.
On the burpees?
Yeah.
Or is that total? But 5:12?
5:12 on the burpees. We don't time the transition because some
yeah.
people are going to die.
Yeah, for sure.
So they're just sprawled out there.
Don't climb the rope yet. You literally might die.
Chill out. But yeah, 5:12 just on the burps, which, I said anything under 5.5 was pretty legit.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a real hard time getting under 8.
Yep.
So I'm at an 8. My best is an 8:05 or something like that.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's one of those things where I just try to push them as far as they can go because I think their eyes just need to be opened a little bit.
Yep.
And, people are graduating basic training without passing an APFT now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which is concerning.
Yeah, concerning. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, concerning. I would say generally. I mean, it's we had kind of talked a little bit before we started about just military readiness, and I think now it's a buzzword that has gone like to like CNN and Fox News. Like it's stuff that's being talked about on that level now, which I always tell people like stuff's probably been going on for like 10 years inside of the military before the news is going to talk about it.
Right.
And now the news is so like they don't really talk about what's going on in the military, so I think that's such, unless it's convenient for them.
Sure.
But I think that's one of those things where it's like it's just I'm obsessed with helping think about and fix solutions to like this problem, which this problem, as far as I see it, is affecting everything. Like it's health. You might call it military readiness, but I call that mental and physical preparation, just to be active, able, human.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that has become something that's infected our entire like society, and I think it affects everything. I think it affects people's happiness. I think it involves relationships. I think it involves just everything in that capacity. So I think one of my big things that I try to focus on all the time is like what is the fix to that solution for our community. And I think for you it's like for my team, for my guys. So I think that's cool that you kind of are able to start to look at how do I solve this, how do I fix this problem, because you can affect change with 50, 100, 200, 300 people with the right pushing. So I think that's cool. Do you guys talk about nutrition? Do you guys work on anything like that?
Yeah.
It's tough for soldiers.
It's tough,
especially as you guys not like day to day.
Right. It's tough, and it's tough especially because I have some young soldiers. Yeah. Right. So, I'll make comments and I'll take some shots. Like if I see somebody struggling real hard, that I know, like I remember one time specifically, a soldier who loves his like Marlboro 100 menthols, and he like just walks around with Mountain Dew and Marlboro 100s,
which is unfortunately super common.
Yeah, and I'm just like, how are those fucking Marlboros tasting now? Fucking go, And I know I sound like a huge dick, but in that type of environment, that's not out of line.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, the thing that you have to, people listening, anybody, when they hear that stuff, it's like, you also have to keep in the back of your mind, like, if that soldier's not ready, there is going to come a situation where, the guy right next to him gets shot, and they have to pick them up and carry them. Right. And if they are not capable of doing that, like, that person will die. And so, like, it's like, oh, well, Adam's pretty harsh. That was mean. Like, that maybe hurt his feelings. It's like, okay, like, is it better to hurt somebody's feelings but make sure you can save a guy's fucking life? Or is it better to, be sensitive and not hurt his feelings, but then he kills a dude? Right. And I think it's, one of my favorite movies speeches is A Few Good Men. I love
freedom that I provide.
I love the speech is so good. And so two things about that. So A Few Good Men and then The Rock. And it's two movies that I feel like if you really are in the military, serve in the military, like you have a different view on that, because like they peg like Ed Harris as sort of the bad guy, and they peg Jack Nicholson as sort of the bad guy, and you're like, hey, actually I kind of lean with them a little bit, It's like, now granted, like I'm not going to blow up the population of San Francisco, but like the things behind what he's saying are extremely like relevant, and I think it's those things where that general awareness is something that that's so hard. That's the gap between civilians and military that I think is sometimes hard to get across. So you've been doing CrossFit with the unit and been kind of involving that. Do you think any of your soldiers, have they taken on that fitness maybe on themselves? Do you feel like you've motivated people to start doing that stuff outside of it?
Yeah, I think it's probably twofold. I think it's like a And I think too is they vary at a basic level. They don't want to feel like they felt last month.
Yeah, for sure.
You
Yeah,
know, it's just one of those things where it's like you can either feel like this every single month.
Yep.
You can throw up.
Yep.
And you can be like combat ineffective for the next 6 hours because your muscles are just done.
Yeah.
Or you can just start, start pushing.
It's just
yourself,
another day. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And and so I think that there's probably an even split on kind of a pride and ego thing, and then just like I never want to feel like that again because I felt like I was gonna die.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I want to talk about your family real quick.
Yeah.
Because Jackie is hands down one of my favorite people. Huge Jackie fan.
Yeah.
And now Maria is all in on Jackie professionally.
Yes.
So I feel like now Maria and Jackie are like bonded at the hip for Maria's hair for the rest of her life.
She's saying she's had quite a few gym clients. Carly was just saying yesterday.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Sarah.
Yeah, so Carly had some long hair, so she was like,
donated it.
Oh, did she really?
Awesome, yeah.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow! I'm excited to see her then.
She donated it yesterday.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, how long have you guys been together?
Yep. So we met in like December of 2006, January 2007 time frame.
Yeah. And where was that? Where'd you guys meet?
So we met at Texas Roadhouse. We were both waiters.
Here in Columbus?
At Dublin.
Nice, on Bethel.
Bethel.
Yeah.
I was at a student at Ohio State.
Nice.
She had just moved down here from Lima.
So you guys were like the movie Waiting.
She was working at Charleston.
That's how
that was like our first or second time hanging out. We watched that movie.
Really?
Waiting, and we were just like, this is ridiculous how accurate.
Yeah, I know.
Is.
Yeah, for sure.
The young stewardess, the old creepy dude.
Yep. If you've ever worked in the restaurant industry, that movie has like a special place in your heart. Yeah.
It's on point. We were probably not a lot of people probably know this. So we were married in 2012.
Yeah.
Jackie was in Columbus. I was in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And we were married in Whitefish, Montana, in May of 2012 by a double proxy marriage.
Wow, that's bizarre. How did you guys?
So I came home on leave.
I didn't even know you could do this. This is all I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
This.
So I came home on leave in March of 2012.
Yeah.
And like young couples who've been away from each other, right?
Yeah.
So she became pregnant.
Yeah.
I rotated back into Afghanistan. I was sitting in Kandahar Airfield waiting on a C-130 to pick me up and fly me to Herat.
Yeah.
And we have like little Roshan phones that are on like the Afghan network.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a text message, and the text message was like, "Hey, I'm pretty sure I'm pregnant." I was like, "Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
my boys can swim."
Well, all right. Well, there's that. So, flew back. She's like, it was so funny. She's like, I was like, so you took a test and she's like, yeah, I've taken like 3. I was like, you should probably just like taking none. just to be sure. Came home and went back to Afghanistan, and then so the double proxy marriage is when people just stand in for you at the courthouse.
Oh, wow.
There was only 4 states at that time to do it, and it was really implemented for. I think North Carolina was the first state to do it. Obviously, a large Army and Marine Corps population.
Yeah, for sure.
It was just implemented specifically for that, where you could get married in a different when a soldier was away.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting married. I had to wait like 2 or 3 weeks. We were so out in the middle of nowhere that we didn't have like a JAG officer. We were the only infantry company on our little fob.
Yeah.
And so the JAG officer would rotate like every 2 or 3 weeks and stay like 1 or 2 nights and then rotate out.
Yeah.
So I had like all the papers and stuff that I had to sign and then notarize, and then a lawyer had to sign. And so we did all that. And then mailed that stuff back, and I remember I got off a patrol, like dumped my gear, got back to like my little chew and checked my email, and it was just an email saying like, congratulations, you're married. So we got married on the 19th of May, but I didn't get the email until 21.
Yeah. So what's your anniversary?
And that's like 2 opportunities for me to fail because we don't know, right? right. So.
Well, you guys have been remarried now, right?
So we did, yeah. So we got home, and we were married, and I got home, and Evelyn came in December of 2012. And then just last year down in Punta Cana, we had kind of our like legitimate ceremony marriage type,
which looked awesome
type deal. Yeah, it was really nice. So I think through our group of friends, we're just gonna get remarried. Like it's gonna be different people's turns every like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
just go because it was a blast, right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
It was so funny down there. Like the wedding coordinator was like talking to us, like we were like super stressed out. She's like reassuring us that everything was fine. I was like, listen, we've been married for like for like 5 years. Bro.
We're good.
Like we're straight. Like
That's
there's
so
literally no stress happening. Actually, can I get a beer?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're in the Dominican Republic right now. Like, I don't know, like we are not in that that vibe.
Yeah. So got remarried. You know, and just. Evelyn is awesome. You know, she's crazy. I'm trying to get her into a bunch of different activities. She's into gymnastics.
5.5, 6 now?
Yeah, she'll be 6 in December.
Yeah.
So trying to get her into BJJ. I bought her these like gymnastics mats from Rogue.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, gymnastics mats. And I was like, little do you know that they're actually for BJJ. So,
yeah, I think it's a cool endeavor. I tell people like with kids all the time, it's like, I think, you know, rock climbing, martial arts, and CrossFit, I think all those things do a great job of teaching you humility, and they teach you the process, right?
Yeah.
I think both of those things are super important to learn at a young age. You know, wrestling's really good at that also.
Yeah.
Like as you get more like school age stuff.
Right.
But I do think a lot of like, you know, you think your traditional ball sports, I think it's so easy. At first, and like, everybody's communication is so talent based, not process based. It's like because it's kind of a team sport, and then it's just like, oh, you know, this dude's really good, and like you're just not as good, and so it's like, like, there's not much you can do about it. As opposed to like, that individual like martial arts stuff. It's just like you're not. There is no real good or bad. Like it's just. It's just, do you dedicate yourself to the process?
Exactly.
You know, do you learn that stuff? So I think it's
so
cool,
important.
and really cool for, you know, young women to see that, like, I think for me that's the most exciting part is like now, like a lot of our kids and tots and stuff, and you know, a lot of people who I know who have young daughters, it's like they get them involved in stuff like that early. I think that's so cool. That's so cool for this generation of women coming up.
Yeah,
like, you're gonna be fucking badass.
Well,
like, it's gonna be awesome.
And I had a friend recently who, you know, they have a little boy, or they're about to have a little boy, and they were just saying, you know, well, you know, when you have a boy, you'll parent differently if you ever have a boy. And I was just like, listen, I don't think so, man.
Yeah.
I parent my daughter the exact same way I would parent a son.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know if it's just me or I don't know, but the standard's the standard.
The standard's the standard, yeah,
so,
for sure. Yeah.
I mean, either you're a boy or a girl, I don't care.
Yeah.
There's a standard, and that's how I parent up to it, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think anybody that doesn't, you know, I don't know, just... If they don't understand that, they think like I can parent this young boy, you know, just be super hard on him or whatever, and just kind of coddle the girl, and that's not my philosophy.
No, I completely agree with that.
You're setting both of them up for failure if you do that.
Well, and just like you said, the standard is the standard, and if we're talking about kids, I think the standard is to show them how to be a successful person, how to be a happy person.
Exactly.
Like that's what you're teaching them.
Yeah.
And you know, just like we talked about like yesterday a little bit, and like habit change seminar that I'm talking about all the time. It's like, if you build consistent good habits, you'll have emotional stability, and emotional stability is going to make you happy and successful. And it's just like, that's it. And it's just like, so if you develop these habits at a young age, I was watching a video yesterday talking about how first 7 years, they're just downloading. They're just downloading from you, downloading from people around them, downloading habits, downloading, you know, this is important to people, this is not important to people. And so, you know, if they're downloading, you know, bad relationships, not being present, not being there, getting blown off, like, that's going to be the type of person they are. And it's just like they download those habits like crazy when they're young. And so the more stuff you can get involved with where they're downloading good habits and they're being taught and educated. And so I think it's so cool.
Yeah, and I think that points to, you know, an opportunity for myself to know that. And it's just like, you got to keep your shit straight, right? Because, like, you know, you have these little eyes just always on you. Like, I'll be the first one to admit my mouth is terrible, right? And so, you know, that's not always the best look. But, just...
I don't know. There's something badass about a grown woman who's got a little edge mouth on her.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I thoroughly enjoy that. Like, I knew this girl when I was in DC, and she was like Irish Catholic, Boston girl.
Yeah.
And this girl, she still had a little bit of the Boston twang, but man, like when she went hard on somebody, like you'd see it at bars every now and again, some guy would try to pick up on her and do something stupid, and she just turned around and she could just go so hard on somebody, and like, and the profanities would just fly, and I was just like, that was awesome to watch. You have got to do that more. Like, that's so sweet. So, I don't know. You never know. I mean, I think it could be something that could be beneficial. But Jackie's, she's so sweet. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, she'll be a nice mix of both.
We definitely have the yin yang on that side of the house.
Yeah.
But Evelyn just started at St. Bridget's in Dublin here, and is just really rocking out kindergarten.
Yeah, first year of school, right? How's that been?
Loving it. I mean, it's been really great.
Yeah.
So just super positive experience.
That's awesome, man. All right, so we gotta get our questions in. Restaurant in Dublin. What's your favorite?
So, I work right downtown, so I don't eat a lot. If I had to say my favorite overall,
doesn't even need to be in Dublin.
So I have Tucci's in Dublin.
Okay.
I'm a big red meat guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut back on that probably a little bit, but and then so downtown, right by my office on Gay Street, is Tiger and Lily.
Tiger and Lily.
Nice. So it's like bone broth. It's like a faux, but it's legit.
Yeah.
Like it's like rice noodles and meat, and they have these marinated hard-boiled eggs that are just. I mean, I could eat every meal there for sure. So,
I love it.
Tiger and Lily on Gay Street, right next to Pub Mahomes.
Nice. Yeah, that's sweet. That's a good one. I don't know if people will know that. So, we've gotten a lot of Tucci's. Everyone's aware of Tucci's, which is good. But I like the new things that are going to be a new awareness.
Yeah, if you're down there, if anybody's down in like Pearl Alley area, there's a lot of stuff going on down there. A lot of probably Ringside. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Yeah. So it's best burgers in Columbus for sure. Oldest bar in Columbus.
Oldest bar in Columbus.
It's right there in
Ringside.
You said Ringside.
Nice.
Solid.
That's sweet. Yeah, we're always looking for good stuff like that. So I like it. Awesome, man. I think that's it. You got anything else you want to add?
No, I just like I said, thank you so much for having me on. Friendship has definitely been one of those experiences that Jackie and I have had that we're just grateful for the community.
Yeah.
And I'm stoked to get to know more people in the gym.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I love that the feedback I've been getting a lot from the Sunday chats is it's so nice to be able to get to know the people more. So I think it's cool. It's it's nice because I might be taking a class with you and I know you as Adam.
Right.
That's about it. Right.
Yeah.
But as you start to dive deeper, like we've had people that's like, I didn't even know we're from the same hometown.
Yeah.
I'm like, my mom went to that high school. Yeah. It's just like
Brock's right down the road from me.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So and that's what's so cool is like I tell people like Brock's a great example. It's like that people don't know, like Brock and I were in the honor guard together. Like he was a tomb guard for a little while and like in training and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, people just don't know that stuff about everybody. So I think it's a cool opportunity for people to get to know each other.
And I'd say one of the best things about the gym is when you come in and you look up at the house rules and you see that you're responsible for the energy that you bring in here.
Yep.
I think that is something that everybody that is good for every situation that you're in.
Yep.
Every experience that you have, there's an old saying, if you meet an asshole in the morning, you met an asshole in the morning. If you meet assholes all day, you're the asshole.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, it's just one of those, be accountable for the energy you bring in.
Yep.
Be present,
I've tried as much as I can to get to the point where I say no to things where I know I'm not going to bring good energy to that situation. And so sometimes, it might look, so like, Maria's family stuff's a good example. It's like, they'll maybe have like a barbecue, they'll have something going on and like, I'll have worked a long day, I'll be tired, Sundays I program, like I got a bunch of stuff that kind of hangs over my head that I have to prep for the week on Sunday afternoon. Yeah. It's like Sunday afternoon really is not like a great time for me to get a bunch of stuff going on.
Right.
And so like they'll have people over and it'll just be like I'll decline and then there's a bunch of questions and I think a lot of the times it's just like, well, like I can come,
but I'm not going to be present.
No, I'm not going to be present. Yeah. And I'm not going to have a bunch of great energy. I'm not going to be juiced to be there.
It's the same way.
And so it's like, and if I'm going to be like that,
do you want me around?
Yeah, like I don't like then you're gonna associate me with being somebody where you're like, I don't really like that guy.
Exactly.
Like he's not that fun. He's not that this, and it's like, well, I wasn't set up for the opportunity to be fun,
Absolutely.
right?
That
And
happened all the time when I was in school.
Yeah.
Because I would have deadlines on Saturdays and Sundays,
Yep.
and I'd go to a family event and just be like, "Listen, my mind's elsewhere.
Yeah.
I have to do this."
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's just like you said. I try to tell people all the time too when you come to the gym, it's when you walk in, it's like it's an opportunity to readjust your energy. Like that's the way I look at it. That's how I look at it. I know when I'm having a tough day and I'm tired and I'm just like dragging ass and I'm short with people, a workout can reset that shit real quick. So it's like, and probably for me faster than anything. Yeah. It's like, it's like what other things can I do? It's like, well, I can have a cup of coffee, I can have a beer.
Yeah.
I can get a workout. And it's like those are the things that like it's like those can kind of change your mood, your philosophy like quickly. But that's what I love about like going there is like you walk in like I'm gonna hit you with some positivity. I'm gonna be juiced to see you. Yeah. And you're gonna get energy given to you. And it's like if you can respond, if you can change your mentality with this, like you can change your whole day. You can change your whole outlook on stuff. So yeah, it's it's been fun to this year. Try more and more to embody that. And it's been cool to put a team around where like that's like one of our stated goals now is like as a team is like just bring that energy and fake it till you make it. If you're not in that boat, bring it. Just keep bringing the energy. You'll be surprised at how much you can turn your day around. So that's cool. I'm glad you guys are feeling that. Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Pause it up.